Indy is a place that you hold 3 wins in the Brickyard 400 coming into this weekend, which is most likely scheduled to be your last visit to Indy. Tell us a little bit about what this place has meant to you over the years.
Yeah, there's no most likely. It is. And maybe not my last visit, but last time on the surface as far as that goes. But, yeah, I think for me, Indianapolis Motor Speedway has been just a great place in my racing career. Grew up a kid in Bakersfield, California, wanting to race in the Indy 500 like Rick Mears, and to be able to come close to living out that childhood dream of winning races at the Brickyard and having some success here has been pretty special to me. So it's fun to to have celebrated that and to come back and be able to be here one last time is something that I'll enjoy.
All right. Well, now we'll go to media to questions, and we will start with Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. These last 3 years, NASCAR and IndyCar have shared this race weekend here. From your perspective, how do you think it's gone?
Well, I think for me, I would prefer to be on the oval, but there are just so many things that probably are ingrained in the background of why we did it and why we raced together. And for as a competitor, it's neat because you get to see people that you typically don't see on a race weekend with the IndyCar guys here. And so I'm not going to get into the reasons of what I think is good or bad. I personally would prefer the oval, but I think for me and everything that I've learned about this there's way more to it than my opinion. And so it's been a unique experience to have the two groups together and be able to function, because racers are racers. We just race something different.
You look at the schedules for next year, you guys are likely going to be or NASCAR is going to likely be on the oval. IndyCar is likely going elsewhere. So having this weekend isn't going to happen. Is this an idea that should be pursued, though, elsewhere and continue on? Or is it, like you said before, sometimes you do it for a few years, let it go away, and then revisit it down the road?
Well, I've been here. You know my opinion on this. I'm always of the opinion that you should do something and move on to something else. So I think it's a unique experience, and it's much like the Clash or street courses or something. I think there's always something that's newer and fresher to go out and try. Now, if there was 300,000 people, that'd be a different conversation.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. You potentially could clinch a playoff spot tomorrow. Is getting in the playoffs even part of a checklist of things to do during a season? And is there any sense of, hey, all I need to do is make the playoffs and we have a chance to win it?
Well, it's definitely part of the checklist, because you have to be in it to win it. And I think that is definitely on everybody's checklist, and is to try to make the playoffs. So it's been an interesting year as far as how things have worked out. I feel like performed okay with what we have, and the guys have done a good job in making something out of it and put ourselves in position to have a chance to win a couple races, and had some bad ones and some good ones, and kind of fought and scrimped and scraped and worked through an injury to after the break to over the next 6 weeks, and just we just have fought one battle after another. So it's been typical 4-car stuff that we've worked through, and we'll just keep grinding away for 13 more.
All right, we'll go to Bruce.
A lot of conversations I've had with Rick Mears, he talks with a lot of pride about following your career and how proud he is of your accomplishments. And when you hear that coming from one of your heroes growing up, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, when I was growing up, Rick was around. I raced with Clint and Casey, but Clint mostly on the go-kart side. So anytime that he would show up at the racetrack, it was pretty neat to just see him somewhere besides on TV. And the Mears family in general around the town of Bakersfield was kind of the pinnacle of racing, whether it was off-road or Indy cars, or when they would come race stock cars at Mesa Marin and for special events. So yeah, I mean, to have the guy that idolized you or that you idolized and be able to have him be around and watch you race and have some sort of connection, those are always pretty special things to deal with. So it's been pretty neat. I've been able to interview him a couple times with the radio shows and things of that nature. So it's always fun. He always has a great story and been around this long enough to been there, done that, and that's fun to listen to that wisdom.
And the Oval may come back next year, but for the last 3 years, you were the last man to win a Brickyard 400. And how much pride do you have in that?
That's good because for me, my last race on the Oval, I'll have won, so I feel pretty good about that. It just kind of ended up that way.
Good, Bones.
Did you say you were injured? And if so,
Oh yeah, I fell down a flight of steps in Italy and had a stack of busted ribs for several weeks.
All right, Nate.
Kevin, after SVG won Chicago, there was a lot of focus on his heel-toe technique, and I think that was a thing for Cup drivers until like late 90s when the transmissions changed. Do you know how to heel-toe, or was that a thing when you first came into NASCAR?
They taught me how to heel toe, and I never used it. Yeah, I think that the interesting thing that those guys can do is modulate the braking with the clutch and be able to just do so much more in the braking zone. So that's Marcus Ambrose was the last one that was that good at it, right? And I think when you look at a Montoya or somebody like that, it's just a pure bravery. I'll drive it in deeper than you type situation. Those guys are finessing the thing deeper into the brake zone and have a better, more efficient technique to do that. So, but I think when you look at Shane, I mean, I think if Marcus Ambrose would have been in the type of car that he's driving, he would have shined. He shined pretty bright on the road courses, but it would have been a much brighter star if he'd had the equipment to do to drive what Shane has, and they're both seem very similar in their skill levels and their success and the things that they've done. So it's fun to watch. Especially it's just not something that I've ever been a part of. To have a really concentrated road race background. Mine's always been on the ovals, but whether they do it in the rain or in the dry or whatever that is, it's an art, and they're good at it.
How long would it take you, if you wanted to use that art in a race, how long would it take you to feel comfortable doing
That'd
it?
be like me trying to go race an IndyCar. Not going to happen.
All right, Kelly.
That's just something you need to do for years to be good at.
Kelly, ChronoRacer.com. Kevin, so just to confirm, as you said, last race on this surface, so even if it goes back to the oval, you are not coming back and jumping in a car.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that said, even though you won't be racing here, do you care about what the future of NASCAR is here on this racetrack? Obviously, a lot of talk of going back to the oval next year, and Doug Bowles has even thrown out there, well, maybe we alternate it between road course and oval.
I think for me, I do care. I have a big stake in caring about where this all goes, and sitting in the TV booth and having drivers and sponsors and competitors. My role is not driving anymore, but it's very much a part of this sport that has kind of shaped my life and given me all the things that I have and want to be involved and understand and make it better, as you go forward and just doing something different. So I'm all about mixing things up, so I think it's important to mix it up. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of what brings people to the grandstands and watches on who watches on TV and the amount of eyeballs you can move the needle with, and obviously we did that with the Clash, we did that with the street course, and so there's ways to do it. It's just a matter of what that is, and there's so many things that go into the mixture of what's right and what's wrong for the sport, the track, the people, the sponsors. There's just a lot of elements that have to be talked through in order to make a good decision for everybody.
All right, I had an additional question in the back.
Kevin, in 2004, Ron Fellows was one of the original road course ringers. It was at Watkins Glen. He finished second. And when you look at then compared to now, how impressive was it for someone back then to go out there and perform well as a road course ringer compared to now, where this car is kind of suited for guys like for the Australian supercar guys that are they're more able to kind of hop in and have a little bit more success. Obviously, Shane set the bar pretty high for those guys this weekend, but how impressive was it to kind of see what Ron did back in those days?
Well, Ron was really everybody's mentor on the Chevrolet side, and you know, you had Boris said that took a lot of these guys, and myself, both those guys have had moments where they've helped and coached, but I think you're right. You know, the car leans much more towards people coming in and being able to be successful on the road course just because of what it is. Our cars were much different in that particular time as far as how you had to drive them and the way that you had to control the wheel hop and everything that went with just the way that the car handled and everything that went with it. So it was much more specialized as far as the car in those days. But Ron was always good. He did great on the ovals as well in the truck series and had a short stint of that. But yeah, definitely somebody everybody looked up to help kind of change the course of road course racing and how you looked at it and the things that went with it. Because when I started, the road courses were like, oh, we got to go to the road courses, so let's just find a car, we'll find a motor, we'll go out there and we'll make some laps and we'll go home. Now it's very technical, and I think a lot of the things that go with it are many of the things that they pushed then, but it wasn't as competitive in the early 2000s as it got to be in the mid 2000s, and now it's another level with a lot of guys that are just very, very good at what they do on the road courses and able to come in here and adapt to the car.